Space exploration as a societal point has fallen by the wayside in recent years for many reasons. With the golden age of aviation been long since past and the space race effectively won, a majority of the public no longer sees the need or feels the urge to explore the stars. People are no longer chomping at the bits to watch the latest episode of Star Trek or eagerly awaiting the next sci fi short story coming out. But it wasn't always like this. The history of space exploration has 7 main points: the Mercury missions, the Gemini missions, the Apollo missions, the Shuttle missions, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, and the Mars expeditions. Each set of these missions gave us different improvements in a multitude of different sectors. The Mercury missions proved that we could get a man into orbit, and the Gemini missions were all about attaching things together while in space. These missions not only put us further ahead in the space race, but also gave rise to technologies and equipment like the International Space Station, Hubble Telescope, Webb Telescope, and GPS navigation. A 2022 documentary by NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab catalogs the history of the space race and putting a man on the moon during the Apollo missions, which won us the space race, yes, but also gave rise to an unfathomable amount of new technologies, as well as a massive economic boom. The societal support the space missions gathered allowed NASA to go over its budget, which forced the Soviets to also overexceed their budget, which ultimately did lead to the fall of the Soviet Union. The Apollo missions also gave rise to technologies in particular such as lithium batteries and cordless power tools to combat problems found during space stations missions. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 were some of the first man-made objects successfully sent into space and were used to observe and gather data on what space was like. Space is the final frontier, and at the time we knew almost absolutely nothing about it. The shuttle missions gave us more efficient and reusable ways to get into space and also led to improvements in runways and even roads. When they found how effective the groove pavement implemented specifically for the shuttles were, they added them as the grooved portion of on and off ramps to interstates. The Mars expeditions led to an improvement in radio communications and our communicating capabilities overall, proved that we could get to other planets consistently and safely, and also helped showcase why we should have a universal metric when working in space so that we don't mess things up like miles and kilometer again. As with all things, exploring space has its advantages and its disadvantages. The pros associated with exploring space are vast and plentiful. In recent years, there's been an increase in interest in STEM fields and education, as proven by the Tennessee Department of Education's heightened emphasis on it, and the statistical increase of people going into STEM fields. New technologies are being produced, and they are still benefiting the lives of everyday people like you and me, some more so than others. Recently, there have been improvements in aircraft design, fuels, batteries, adhesives, paints, and electrical systems. In fact, the new technologies made amateur rocketry a viable hobby for the public many years ago, and even that has developed into an offshooting branch of UAS-centered jobs and hobbies, to the point that it's offered as a concentration here at MTSU. A 2006 article by Yuan Zi, Gabriel H. Lowe, Brian Black, and Carrie Bernstein highlight the advancements of 3D rendering technologies as a byproduct of space exploration, and a 2017 article by Luca Del Monte and Luigi Scattia summarizes the tech benefits and economic progress brought on by the exploring of space. Space exploration also benefits the economy more than it hurts the economy in the long run. A 2023 study by Leslie Blood and Stefania Paldini examines the economic benefits to the UK resulting from the exploration of space, and a 2009 study by Seth D. Baum explores the ethical cost-benefit analysis of exploring space. These show that not only in our own country, the ends outweigh the means and helps earn the money to make the world go round. The last pro worth noting is that we don't know what's out there. Space exploration could lead to us having methane refineries on Titan, and the water on Europa could host life, which could lead to the untold biological discoveries on the formation of life and how the universe works. Limitless new fields of science are at our doorstep to uncover and research. The disadvantages of space exploration is that we don't know what's out there. As it has always been with braving the waters and exploring the unknown, there is a high risk factor with an uncertain reward at the end of it. Exploration has always been a very dangerous job, and the risks to human life are very well known, and every life that has been lost in the pursuit of the stars has not come without something to be gained from it. There's a saying in aviation that the history of aviation is written in blood, and our brothers in space travel know that just as well as those of us that fly without supplemental oxygen. Because of the uncertainty, it's hard to rationalize the use of exploring the cosmos, especially when looking at the state of our own planet. For government-based programs, things like pollution, high crime rates, and low education rate statistics that make it hard to gather public support to justify spending the tax dollars. Why would we go find another planet to mess up when our planet and its people is already in a bad enough state when we could be spending that money fixing it? This is a mentality that's not uncommon, and it poses a great question on the ethics of exploring space. Exploring space is also a legal nightmare. In a 2022 article by, and I apologize in advance, this will be painful, Anna Cornett, Tamaz Balderzak, Evelina Kayazik-Janik, and Alexandria Urashina break down the legal issues associated with space travel and how they affect exploration. Most of the documents and treaties for allowing people to explore space were written anywhere from 1959 to 1972 and were designed with commercial travel being very far in the future. There's no such thing as a space tourist, and cosmonauts themselves weren't actually defined. That being said, while we are closer to recreational space visits, we are nowhere close to recreational space travel between planets, so we still have some time to figure things out before the legal matters cause too much of an issue.